Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. This is your host, Aminah Ahmed, and you're watching Next Gen. Welcome back to another episode where we seek to amplify voices of young people or provide young people with advice and guidance towards the multiple fields that they may be looking into. Today, we will be talking about business and econ, building a business, and we have with us businesswoman Katie Clarkson, a homeschooling mom, business owner, and educator. She earned her BA in chemistry with a cognate in education and first began tutoring over 10 years ago. Now she runs her own tutoring service with her husband and works to help students primarily in middle school and high school with math and science. In her free time, she loves reading, experimenting with new recipes, and spending time outdoors with her family. Katie, it is so amazing to have you on our show today, and congratulations on having your business, established and successful for the past 10 years.
Thanks. My business officially has been running for about 5 years. I started tutoring more unofficially about 10 years ago, but alhamdulillah, it's really grown over the years, and it's been really fun doing this.
Right. And how did you get started? What kind of clicked where you were like, I want to take my talents and your, kind of ability to educate teenagers, to educate young people, to make it in a business? How did you get there?
I'd always been somewhat interested in kind of doing my own thing, but I wasn't really very familiar with how to run a business at first. So it grew out of necessity because what I wanted to do, working with students one on one, and being able to kind of um, see them really grasp things and light up and really be able to kind of mentor them and that kind of stuff wasn't really available to me through classroom teaching the way I wanted it to be. So I kind of needed to create my own space to be able to do what I wanted to do. So it kind of grew from the necessity of
Right.
making what I wanted to do possible.
Right. And what kind of challenges did you face while setting up your own business? Were there difficulties that you didn't anticipate at first?
Yes, I mean, coming in not really having any business experience, and no one in my family has business experience. I didn't really know anybody I could ask for help with this. I knew
Mhm.
the tutoring side of it, so I knew how to do the service I wanted to provide. But
Right.
the business side of things was definitely a challenge. Finding out what resources were available to me, figuring out all the administrative side was probably the biggest headache because all the different offices that you have to put paperwork, the taxes, all of those things in order to be able to do the business properly. I didn't want to do any mistakes. I wanted to build a strong foundation so that I could focus on growing and providing a good service and not have to scramble to fix things later. So I
Right.
guess learning all of that, there was a big learning curve for that. That was probably my biggest struggle with the beginning of business.
Mhm. And how do you feel that, Islam and your faith kind of guided you to in all of this, right? How has your business, how has what you do on that been kind of guided through your faith? Do you feel like, that was connected?
Yes, I do feel like running a business is something that I feel like is very um, looked upon positively in Islam. And of course, educating people is something, sharing knowledge with people is something that's very looked on as great in Islam, of course. So I kind of liked that I was meshing those two things together. But I also like that it gives me the freedom to be able to improve myself as a Muslim woman, to be able to balance being a mother and running a
Mhm.
business, because that was a big thing for me, is how was I going to be an educator and also be with my children. So I
Right.
think being able to create my own schedule, create basically being able to take what I wanted to do and just make it myself, that
Mhm.
gives me the freedom to be able to focus on all those other things and balance my life better. Where if I want to take a class or listen to a lecture, I have the space to do that, where I'm not stuck with a schedule that doesn't allow for those extras.
Sure. And you kind of took that shift, mashallah, from, going out from teaching to being at home and running your own business. Was that difficult? Was it a big change for you? I mean, you say you're obviously a mother as well. So how were you able to kind of manage that shift from going out, being a teacher in a classroom setting, to kind of taking that and bringing it home and making it a business where you are benefiting other people as well?
Um, I guess that it helps. The way I have my routine set up helps me a lot.
Mm.
Being organized and being structured, I think, is the biggest. That's the most important factor in being able to balance those things. Being able to set up your life that you can work from home, that you can manage. A family is not easily managed, and a business is not easily managed. So doing both of those things, you have to be very organized. But I think what really helps me is that I do it together with my husband, as a partnership, and so we complement each other. The things that I excel at in business are the things that, and the things he excels at in business, they are not exactly the same,
Mm.
if that makes sense. So we
Right.
complement each other with that.
That's beautiful that you are able to kind of take that into your business and use your own skills and talents and kind of combine them together to take the business where you have it right now. So that is very impressive. That's awesome, and I really like appreciate and admire that you've been able to do this. And we will be right back on Next Gen after our short break. You're all watching us on Apple TV, Muslim Network TV, Galaxy 19 Satellite, and Amazon Fire TV. We'll be right back with Katie Clarkson. Welcome back to Next Gen. I'm here with Katie Clarkson, homeschooling mom, business owner, and educator. Now, Katie, thank you so much again for being here with us on Next Gen. You speak of your journey, what it was like to be an educator, and then bringing that into your own home. You run your business with your husband, and you both are kind of able to tackle that. Now, I'm curious to know, what have you kind of learned from that process? What was like a thing where you didn't know before, and now after you kind of put your feet in the water, you're like, this is something that I have learned, starting my own business. Was there anything like that?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that I advise other people who want to start their own businesses, with this, and that's that your business should be something that you're passionate about.
Mm.
Um, that I did know going in, but I think more specifically, I had to like focus it down. There's a lot of people that start tutoring companies, they or that want to do tutoring, they tutor anything. So anything that somebody needs help with, they'll just tutor it. But that's my passion. The subjects that I love are math and science. The things that I excel at are math and science, um, and study skills, things like that. But I'm not a history teacher. I'm not a Spanish teacher. I'm not all these other things that people request. Those aren't my subjects, and a lot of people would try to provide that. So I think like staying focused and going with where your passion is really important. And I think too, sometimes people like the idea of starting a business because they want to work from home now, especially COVID times, working from home got more popular. But I do have people who have come and I've said, well, what do you like doing? And they've said, I don't know. And you can't really start a business just to say, I want to do a business and this is something that makes money,
Right.
because you won't have the drive to get through the hard parts and that learning curve and all of those little things that you have to do to build, to be able to make your customers and clients successful, to give them the results they want. You have to believe in what you're doing. So you have to find something that connects to you. So what the business that's right for me isn't the business that's right for someone else.
Right.
And the business that's right for someone else isn't what's right for the next person just because it's profitable, you know? You
Mm.
have to choose what you're passionate about and what you can share with others, um, in that way.
And I really like that you say that. Sometimes people just start a business because, I get to work from home, I'm making good money. I mean, this is fun, but there are definitely the difficult parts that you'll
Mhm.
only be able to tackle if what you're doing is what you're passionate about. So I think
Right.
that's powerful. And I know that there might be young Muslims watching our show right now that are hesitant to start their own business, that like you said, for you there were not many people in your family there. I mean, there wasn't anyone in your family that had done that, so it's something that is totally new ground for them. What is kind of your piece of advice to these young people that have a passion, they want to get started, they just don't know where to start?
I think the biggest thing is if you want to do something, and you have to be determined, because there's going to be naysayers and there's going to be difficulty. If your family doesn't necessarily support, or if your friends don't necessarily support, it can be really difficult, because
Mhm.
starting a business, not everybody does it, right? So it's the kind of less typical path. It's again become a little bit more common, I think, now with people working from home, but it's again still not the most typical path. So doing something that's less typical is less easy. And when you have all of those people telling you that it might not be the best path for you, or can you really do it? Can you really make it work? You have to be, again, that passion comes in, that this is something I want to do. This is something I know I'm good at, and I'm going to stick to it. That determination has to push you through, because you can't expect somebody else to push through for you. And then, when you get there, hopefully other people will come around.
Right. And that support is so important, I think, of your family and friends. And it really can make it difficult if you don't have that. But again, you have to be determined if you know that that's what you want to do. And obviously running a business is challenging. So how are you able to kind of manage all of that? How are you able to manage the challenges that come with running a business, as well as, kind of just being there for your students the best way that you can? Because I'm sure there are days where you're tired, where you're exhausted, but you have to give your 100%. So how do you not burn out? How do you keep going?
Yeah, burnout is really common with running a business. So I think having boundaries is really important. Carving out time. This is work time. This is time for other things is really important. So again, it's kind of that you can't take everything, sort of boundary, where I talked about before with passion, but it's kind of the same with schedule. So you can't take every session. If somebody says, "Well, I'm only available on Saturdays," but you need Saturdays as family time or as downtime, you're going to have to say no to that person.
Right.
You have to find time for you. So I think blocking out your schedule, that these are the times that I want to be available, just the same way that you would have a work schedule, just because you're making it yourself doesn't mean that you shouldn't still block it out that way, if that makes sense. Because a
That
lot of
does.
people just put them wherever, but then you're working 24/7 and that doesn't work.
Right, right. And I think, like, with a business, because so much of it is in your control, that you can set the hours. You can kind of play around with it how you want. It becomes
Mhm.
more difficult to build those boundaries. Do you feel like you've gotten better
Exactly.
at that with time?
That was really hard at first because, again, as a new business owner, just getting our names out there, we wanted to be available to as many people as possible,
Mhm.
thinking that that would help us build. But we did burn out a couple of semesters, and it wasn't working. So we found a schedule that does work for us now, alhamdulillah, and that's much better. I also, I brought on a team of other tutors that I work closely with as well. And I think balancing that where I can make sure the students are getting what they need and I can still get what I need. It helped tremendously. And it also helped me to be able to better manage, communicating with the parents and the teachers and all these other little details that I wanted to do to make sure that our tutoring was giving the best results. I was
Mhm.
able to do them better because I took the time aside to have time that I'm not doing that.
Right.
So,
That is wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Katie Clarkson, for being with us here today. Thank you for running your amazing business. How can our audience, can you just tell them where you're located and some of those details if, they need help with math and science, they're struggling in high school or any of that?
sure. Our website, you can go to our website and contact us from there. It's tutelagetutoring.com. And we actually do virtual sessions with Zoom. So we have students that are all over the US right now. Um, and that's what we do. We work mostly with middle school and high school students. We do a couple college classes. So it's like the algebra through the calculus, things like that. College consultations, if you're trying to apply, that's what we do.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katie, again for being with us here today. And to all of you, thank you for streaming and watching Next Gen today. We will be back, inshallah, with another episode next Wednesday. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all.